Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing it.
Today I'm going to do my August wrap-up video and tell you about all the awesome books that I got through in August. So get ready, get excited, I have a lot of fun things to share with you. The first book that I finished in August was The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I think that's how you say her name. Let me tell you, I adored this book. I thought it was so good. I actually filmed a little bit as I read it because I got so excited about what was going on. So I think I'll put together a little review/reading vlog for that. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that and I will put that together. But I really enjoyed this book. It's about a man who time travels and his wife. We kind of follow their journey. It's so hard to explain because it travels through time, but you follow her from her childhood all the way up through basically till she's an old woman. And it revolves around the two of them and their relationship. And it is a really good book. I cried. I thought it was beautiful. Yeah, if you have not read this yet, I highly recommend you check it out because it is definitely worth the read. The second book I finished in August is Just One Day by Gail Forman, and it wasn't great. I had a lot of problems with the relationship. I thought it was really unrealistic. I don't really believe that you can fall in love with someone in just one day, and why would you travel across the world to find them again? It just was stupid to me. There was a point where there was an effort to make it seem like she was finding herself and not searching for him, but it was just kind of dumb, I think. I don't know, maybe that makes me cynical, but I didn't think it was a realistic love story at all. I also really didn't like the way she used Shakespeare in this. I thought it was really frustrating, and as a theater person I was like, what are you doing? She starts the book by saying, what if Shakespeare had it wrong? To be or not to be, that is the question. And then she says, what if the real question is not whether to be, but how to be? Hamlet's contemplating suicide. It has nothing to do with what she's talking about. The average person is not going to stand there and ask, to be or not to be. It's a soliloquy about him contemplating suicide. It has nothing to do with this. So clearly she doesn't have an understanding of Shakespeare, which makes me mad as a theater person. I'm like, get it together. It's Hamlet. You should know this. Yeah, that's how I feel about this book. I didn't hate the writing style. There were a lot of things in the story that pissed me off. So yeah. Next, I read Artemis Fowl, and I had never read an Artemis Fowl book before ever, so I figured I should, and I really enjoyed this. It was just really fun and lighthearted and made me think of childhood, and I was super into the fairy world. The Artemis chapters, I was kind of like, I don't know if I really care about this character, but I think that's okay because it's geared towards a younger audience than what I am. If I'm in the mood for kind of a fairy tale world again, I might go ahead and continue with this series. If you are a young person and you haven't read Artemis Fowl, then I think you should totally check it out. The fourth book I finished in August was Never Let Me Go. This was a really cool book. I was hoping that I would like it more than I did, but I didn't dislike it. I gave it 4 stars, I think. It's really similar to Margaret Atwood novels, I think. It takes place in a dystopian English society, and it's basically about this girl who grows up in a boarding school kind of thing. I won't give too much away because it's really interesting to try to figure it out as you go. It's a slow burning book, and you have a lot of questions, or at least I did. I had a lot of questions early on. Most of these yellow tags are questions I had, and then they get answered as you go, which is cool. This book is also very sad, and I cried a little bit. There's a book coming up where I cried a lot, and I cannot wait to tell you about that one. So hold on, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I definitely think this was interesting, and if you're a huge Margaret Atwood fan, I think you'd probably like this too. So yeah. The next book I read in August was not on my August TBR. I just really wanted to pick it up, and it was a short book, and I needed something just kind of short to break up these 2 books. It is The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace, and this is a book of poetry, and I really enjoyed this. I thought it was beautiful and really sweet and powerful. A lot of the poems were extremely relevant to the current climate that we're living in. I think one of my favorite parts of this is the dedication in the beginning. Did you just scrape my door? Devon, you want to come say hi? Okay. So I think my favorite part of this book is the dedication at the beginning. It's for the boy who lived. Thank you for inspiring me to be the girl who survived. You may have a lightning bolt to show for it, but my body is a lightning storm. And I was just like, yes, absolutely. Come in. Hello, world. This is my housemate, Devon. She was my roommate last year.
I don't know what to say. I'm a theater major. I'm from California. I'm very small. Emma's very tall.
Yeah, our height difference is very entertaining.
Can we stand up?
Yeah.
You'll be out of the frame.
I'll be out of the frame, but that's fine.
She's very tall. I'm
Isn't
very
that
small.
entertaining?
All the books I read are the ones that Emma's read because she gives good recommendations, so.
What's your favorite book that I've recommended to you?
That's hard. Well, I really like A Monster Calls. I feel like that's easy though, because I think my other favorite is Ready Player One. Ready Player One is it.
I haven't talked about Ready Player One on this channel yet.
Well, it's
I'll
a good
get there.
book.
Don't you worry.
If you haven't already looked at her book blog, do that too, or her Bookstagram, or her Goodreads. She has a lot of books.
I do. But I was just telling them about The Princess Saves Herself in this one.
That one's good from what I've read of it.
Yep, I made Devon read a couple pages because I got really excited. But
It does remind me of Milk and Honey.
yeah, it's very similar. If you liked Milk and Honey and you've read that, then you'll
Definitely
probably
read this one.
also like this as well.
But
That's
I want to say for this one you have a lot of sticky notes.
Yeah, I do. The next book that I read in August, it might be a new favorite of the year. I love this book so much, and that is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. And this came out of nowhere for me. I was not expecting this to be a really good book. I kind of thought that it was just gonna be like your average run-of-the-mill book about an old guy. Like, I haven't read a lot of them, but you know, there's, what is it? A Man Called Ove, or A Man Called Ove. I can't remember what that's called. I'll probably put the title right down here, so you know what I'm talking about. If you're a book person, you'll know what I'm talking about. But there are several books about old men, but this was really exceptional. Devon's entertained. Yeah. So many sticky notes in here. All the blue ones are times when I cried. I freaking sobbed through this book. Oh, I just don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin the experience for anyone else, but you absolutely should read this book. It's about a man who is retired and he's living a very boring life, and then one day he gets a letter from a friend of his from many years ago, and she has cancer and she's dying, and he writes a short letter back to her and then walks to his mailbox to mail it, isn't ready to let go of it yet, so proceeds to the next mailbox, and so on and so forth until he decides to walk to go see her, and it's like an 800-mile journey, and it is the coolest thing. I just highly recommend this. I really hope that anyone who reads this loves it. I have not heard about it like anywhere on Bookstagram or BookTube, and I don't know why, because this book is so beautiful. Just putting that out there. If you have read it, let me know down in the comments what you thought, because I'm really curious to see if I'm alone in loving this book, because it's great.
Farewell, YouTube.
Bye, Devon. The last book that I read in August is actually a play, and that's Sweat by Lynn Nottage, and this is on Broadway right now, I think. I believe it's still on Broadway. If not, it recently closed. But this was really good. Lynn Nottage also wrote Crumbs from the Table of Joy and Intimate Apparel and a bunch of other stuff. Ruined, I haven't read Ruined, but that's on my list. But she's really talented. She's a great female playwright who's still writing plays and being produced, so yes. This was a really great play about basically the economic decline in Reading, Pennsylvania. And basically it's about all these people who work at a factory who are part of the union, and then the factory starts to try to pay their workers less, so the workers go on strike, and then basically they hire a bunch of immigrants because they're willing to work for the lower payment, and there's all this racial tension, and there were just some really interesting character dynamics in this book, some really interesting power shifts. As someone who's trying to be a playwright, this was really cool to read because there were a lot of little turns in dialogue that just shifted power between people, which is a really cool way to make a play interesting when it's mostly dialogue. This all takes place in a bar as well, so you never actually see the factory, you just see them chatting in a bar. I also really like the cover of this script. I think it's really pretty. If you're interested in reading a play and like being up to date with what's going on in the play world, and also reading a play that's very relevant, I would highly suggest picking this one up because it was really good. So I forgot to tell you about the audiobooks that I listened to this month and 2 plays that I read. I just had to check in and fill you in because I couldn't leave it out of the video. So I read 3 audiobooks this month. The first was Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I listened to that at the beginning of the month because it was mentioned in American Sniper, and I had so many issues with American Sniper, I felt like I needed to get another perspective on the situation in Iraq, you know? So I read his book, listened to his book, Lone Survivor, and it was okay. He was a much nicer guy than Chris Kyle, so that's good, but I don't know if it was really anything groundbreaking. The second audiobook I listened to this month was Gathering Blue by Lewis Lowry. That's the second book in The Giver. What is it called when there's 4 books in a series? Is it just a series? And it was pretty good. I didn't like it as much as The Giver. I really loved The Giver, and Gathering Blue was just okay. I give it 3 stars. Then the last audiobook I listened to was Coraline, which it's just been on my list to read for a long time, and I found the audiobook, so I figured it would be fun to listen to during work, and it was nice. It was very, very similar to the movie, I think. No surprises there. I enjoyed it. It's a short audiobook. Good thing to listen to if you are in the mood for Coraline and you want to listen to it on a car trip or something. And then the 2 plays that I read that I forgot to tell you about are Crooked by Catherine Treishman. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I got called back for that show, so ooh, something in my eye. I got called back for that show, so I read the play, and I really like it. It's really good. I didn't get cast in that one, but I'm very excited to see it. And then the second play that I read was The Tall Girls by Meg Miroshnik. I should definitely know how to pronounce her name because I am cast in this show. And The Tall Girls is about a girls basketball team in like the 50s, 60s. Rehearsals don't start till October, so I got time. It was a good play, and it has a lot of female characters in it, which is really nice. So I'm really excited to be part of that show, and if you're interested in reading either of those plays, you totally should, because I thought they were pretty good. Have fun watching the rest of my video. I haven't finished this last book yet, but I've started on it, and I'm filming this a couple days early before it's gonna go up because it's the weekend and I know I have time to do it now. So I will probably finish this book in August, and that is The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. And I'm just really excited to read this. I've only read the first chapter so far. So far, it's got a really interesting style to it, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. So thank you so much for watching my August wrap-up. I hope you really enjoyed, and I hope you found an exciting book to add to your September TBR, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Add it, do it now, it's great. If you have any suggestions for my September TBR, write them down below in the comments because I would be really excited to be inspired to read some more books. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I will see you in a couple days. Bye! Oh my god, words. Words.